Are you struggling to make your virtual team meetings productive? Well, in this video, I'm going to share with you tried and true tips that I use that make my virtual team meetings effective, efficient, and productive. While we're talking about teams and virtual team meetings, you probably also run some projects with those teams. So stay tuned to the end of this video because I'm going to share with you an amazing checklist which is going to help you ensure that those projects that you work on with your virtual teams are awesome. Hi, if you're new here, welcome. Make sure you subscribe to the best career and project management advice channel, coming to you with a new video every Wednesday. Now, if you're excited about learning about virtual team meetings and how to make them productive, like this video, let's get to it. Get everyone on the same page. This means that you need to ensure everyone is very clear with what's expected of them. Through that expectation, how do you do that? Well, agendas and ground rules for your meetings. Those are really important elements that, interestingly enough, with virtual meetings, sometimes I don't see have happen, or let alone in a regular meeting, but so critical in a virtual meeting. So when it comes to agendas, here's a few things. Ensure that it's shorter than what you think. So if you're planning and you're putting in 5 agenda items and you're like, oh, I think this is going to take an hour, add another 20 minutes because that's, I promise you, what's going to have happen is they just go on longer than you expect. So shorten your agendas, be really succinct with them, and see if you can time it to have an understanding of what's going out there. Send them out minimum 24 hours in advance. People need to know what to expect in regards to what's being presented. Because a lot of times when it comes to virtual meetings, people are in back-to-back-to-back meetings, so you need to be aware of that and really be succinct with your information. Now, when it comes to ground rules, this really helps ensure everyone stays on the same page. Yes, the agenda is giving them the information, but the ground rules is really what is going to top everything off. And there's a few that I have all the time. Video on. This is a really important ground rule when it comes to virtual meetings because I don't see you when your camera's off. I get so much more information with the camera on and seeing your face. You also want to have things like perhaps mute the mic, embrace some messiness because let's be honest, virtual meetings, we just don't have control over some things like technology, blips and issues. So embrace that messiness. I even say this, if you accidentally leave the meeting, because sometimes we're in breakout rooms with those great technology that we use with virtual meetings and we can click on the wrong thing and exit. So I just make it a rule. If you accidentally leave the meeting, just hop right back in. So having those ground rules sets up the expectation on how everyone is supposed to be on that same page along with your agenda. Get everyone involved. This is really helpful from a virtual meeting perspective because everyone's kind of in their own space anyway, right? They're from home, they're working in their own office, they're not around anyone. So by getting everyone involved, it really helps with the roles and responsibilities and accountability in the meeting. So from a logistical standpoint, what you can do is you can assign a note taker. I do suggest in advance, let them know that they're going to potentially be a note taker, but I've also done it on the fly as well. You can also ask for someone to be the chat window watcher. You can ask someone to be a timekeeper. There's lots of things you can do. You can even in advance ask someone to come up with a real cool icebreaker so they can be a lead of that. That's a nice way to get people involved. And from the standpoint of the meeting itself, ensure that when you're presenting information or concepts that you get to everybody in the room. Now, this is going to be dependent upon how many people are on your virtual call and how many team members you have specifically. But if you can, go to each window, right? The nice video on and ask, hey, Jane, how do you feel? John, yourself, and just kind of as you would in a regular meeting around the table, which we call round robin. You go from everyone from the left and they all go in sequence. Same concept, but you're doing it virtually in a window. So that's a really lovely way to get everyone involved from an accountability perspective and roles and responsibilities. Alertness really is what's going to come out of that, which will be better and more efficient and effective and productive for your virtual team meeting. Leverage your technology tools. Now, on virtual meetings, there's virtual platforms, right? In order for us to have those virtual meetings. And in those platforms, there are many things that you can use, like whiteboards, maybe some sticky note activities, depending again on the platform that you're using. So really understand what that is. Polling to get more interaction, right? That involvement that we just talked about a moment ago. Now, what I find that's really important with the technology is do not assume that a whiteboard in a virtual setting is the exact same thing like a whiteboard in a live meeting. They're two different entities. I always highly recommend practice. Practice with a small group who you can walk through ideas and activities to really leverage the technology. I'm always surprised with when I think logically from a live meeting perspective of, let's say, doing a whiteboard activity and then trying to save it or share it, that it doesn't necessarily work the way my mind thinks it works. So you really have to kind of understand how the technology works. So practice, 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 but definitely leverage the technology tools that are available on these virtual meeting sites. There's some really cool stuff which can add to some really great outputs in getting your virtual team meeting team together and getting really your activities that you need from that particular meeting. Be prepared. I'm going to let you know this. 80% of successful virtual team meetings are successful because of the preparation work that went into it. For some reason, I do find that individuals with a virtual meeting, maybe because they're home and there's this casualness associated with it, I'm finding that preparation is not there as much as if it was at a live meeting in an office setting where people are sort of dressed up in their professional suits. I don't know exactly what it is. I'm just throwing it out there as a potential reason. But being prepared, and I'm not just talking about the things I've talked about before, like testing out your technology or doing your agendas and your rules. I'm really think it through. Who are you inviting? How are you going to do things? What preparation are you going to have? Are you going to do pre-read? You really have to think it through. Do I have too much on my agenda? Too little? All of that preparation stuff, which kind of encompasses all of the tips, is really critical. If you get that solid, then your meeting will be extremely successful. Now, here's a little side note. Probably like a 180 maybe, like the yin and the yang. You also need to be flexible. And what I mean by that is a lot of times when I prepare for meetings myself and I'm very clear and I practice and I've done everything that I'm sharing with you in these tips, I actually do the meeting and something just didn't work because you're putting all these ideas together and then you're executing it at the meeting live. So be flexible, have some backups in case you need it. What's your plan B? Because with virtual meetings, there are going to be things that just pop up you have no control over. Maybe even though you practice, it's not working well. So what can you do as another activity, even though you practice it with your team or the side note people I asked you to do with earlier on? So just be prepared. That's really critical. And that will be, if you do that, I promise you your meetings will be extremely successful all the time. Now, if you want even more tips on how to have really productive virtual team meetings, I want you to go to the link below, grab this. If you have virtual team meetings, you definitely have virtual projects, and understanding how successful you can be or unsuccessful is going to be really important. So check it out. These are the top 10 reasons why most projects fail. And I want you to be successful, so check it out on the link below. On that note, if you could please subscribe to this channel, like this video, share it with everyone you know. And if you have any other tips that you want to add in regards to virtual team meetings, please put them in the comments below. Until the next video, see you later.